Good evening, I am G.L.Davies. I am finally honoured to introduce you to my third book, available to pre-order now for a 30th of November release and book signing at Victoria Bookshop December the 1st in Haverfordwest. It was 2 years of intense interviews and study of a most surreal haunting. This book took me to some dark places where I had to face my own demons, my own mental health issues, and it contains revelations that will shock those not close to me. I'm humbled that many within the paranormal community, my peers, have, after reading advanced copies, described this book as one of the most important paranormal accounts in modern history. And to me, that's tremendously humbling. This new offering also contains a new edit of A Most Haunted House, along with a 40-page examination of explanations. Thank you to everyone that supported me. Thank you to Sixth Books for encouraging me and supporting me with my dream. So, without further ado, let us step inside.
Go get the axe, go get the axe, go get the axe. The axe.
You are listening to the Paranormal Chronicles radio show. Here is your host, paranormal researcher and author of the best-selling A Most Haunted House, Gavin Lee Davis.
Good evening, creatures, and welcome to the Paranormal Chronicles Network. I am G.L.Davies, author of the soon-to-be-released and nominated for Best Paranormal Book for 2018, Haunted Horror of Haverfordwest, and the best-selling but controversial Ghost Sex the Violation. Hope you enjoyed the intro video. As you can see, I'm a huge fan of David Lynch. Grab yourself a copy of Haunted Horror of Haverfordwest and come chat with me at Victoria Bookshop in Haverfordwest on December the 1st. It would be great to see you. Tonight, on this very show, not only do we have an incredible hour-long interview with Damien and Ralph of Black Lotus Productions, along with some incredible sea monster and other creepy footage, but first, attention Pembrokeshire. We have received an incredible picture of what appears to be not only the ghost of a child, but a ghost of a strange looking old man. Now I shall be interviewing not only the photographer, but hopefully the owners of the house for a TPCN episode in the next week or so. So subscribe now so you don't miss the full story. The house is reputedly haunted by the ghost of a little girl who died allegedly during the Victorian era. It is also said that a man hung himself in the house too. The little girl has often been seen in the house and at the window. Now, this house is not the house from Haunted Horror of Haverfordwest or A Most Haunted House, but we can confirm it is within a 1-mile radius of that very house. This is the 16th house of reported activity within the 1-mile radius of the house featured in Horror of Haverfordwest, which is within the centre of Haverfordwest. Is this a haunting epidemic, or is there a more rational explanation, such as tetra activity, gas seepage, or something more? The house cannot be identified until further investigation has been conducted, which I'm sure you can understand. The image needs further investigation and examination to truly get to grips with what we are looking at. Is it something misidentified? Is it a trick of the mind, a reflection, or is this clear evidence of two paranormal entities fighting to be seen or fused together as one? It certainly is creepy, and we will have a full follow-up along with witness accounts soon. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Have we been hoaxed? Is this real, or do you have an explanation? Also, if that is not enough, we will have further evidence and an update on the St. Thomas Owlman of Haverfordwest coming up in the next few weeks. Peculiar character that we here have introduced and investigated over the last few years on the ParanormalChronicles.com. So exciting times indeed. It is that most wonderful time of the year. Subscribe and follow us, as over 2,000 paranormal enthusiasts have, for our winter season of TPCN episodes, with more investigations, pictures, videos and interviews. Never miss a thing, and together we explore the unknown. So now, on with the show.
Sixth Books will take you to other worlds, haunt you, open your mind, and push you far beyond the veil of the unknown. Sixth Books is a leading publisher of books on the body, mind, and spirit, the paranormal, consciousness, ancient wisdom, and the afterlife. Explore today, learn today, open your mind today, read today. Visit sixth-books.com today. The world as you know it is about to change.
It is that time of night we like to present the big interview. The Paranormal Chronicles is renowned for its in-depth, full-on interviews on the very best researchers, authors and broadcasters on all types of paranormal subjects, from Bigfoot, Jack the Ripper, ancient mysteries, ghosts, UFOs and so much more. So please go out and check out our ever-growing archive of top-notch amazing interviews. You will learn so much. Your mind will open up to a universe of possibilities. This week I have the pleasure of speaking to Ralph and Damien from one of the fastest growing shows on YouTube, Black Lotus Productions, and they cover a huge wealth of topics on the paranormal, with exclusive interviews and footage that will blow your mind. These gentlemen from America are true legendary knowledges on all things paranormal, as you're about to find out. This is an amazing hour of ghost and UFO experiences, sea monster footage, conspiracy theories, and so much more. So dim the lights and let's get to Ralph and Damien now. And good evening, and I would very, very much like to welcome the absolutely superb Damien Gray and Ralph
It's Torlucci.
Absolutely brilliant. And these wonderful gentlemen have come all the way from America, and they are part of Black Lotus Productions, and they are a superb webcast on YouTube. They deal with all kinds of subjects of zombie apocalypse, Slenderman, shadow people, the Philadelphia experiment, haunted Disney, and even live toe readings. Absolutely superb at what they do. And if you haven't checked out this show, go and do it. There is a wealth of information there. Let's just start at the beginning. How did you meet each other, and how did you get involved in this?
Well, Ralph and I are actually lifelong friends. I've known Ralph since I was 17?
Yeah, 17.
17, I think, yeah. And we actually met through the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Oh.
And he played Frankenfurter at the theater that I went to. And he saw me and asked me if I would like to play Rip. And I was like, this is the first time I've seen this movie. I don't know. But the next week, I was then in the cast with him, and we were doing the shadow casting. And we've been friends ever since.
It wasn't like you had some strange paranormal incident that you both witnessed. It was from the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Well, yeah, initially it was from that, but since then he and I have had several paranormal incidents and UFO incidents that we've actually experienced together.
And then one day we were talking, I think it was on Skype, and you asked me, you goes, I've been thinking about doing a podcast, if you want to come and do one with me. And that's how it all started.
And initially, we started off as an audio-only podcast via iTunes and iHeartRadio, that sort of thing. Then we started getting into YouTube, and we found that the numbers were better through YouTube than it was actually from the audio-only podcast. Our genre back then was all over the place. We didn't really have a certain niche. We talked about everything from conspiracy theories to politics to movie reviews to everything.
Book reviews.
Yeah.
Anything that was happening in the news, we would talk about.
Right. One day I decided, you know what, we're not getting the numbers we should. Where we're getting the actual hits was in the niche of like the paranormal and UFOs and conspiracy theories and that sort of thing. I told Ralph, I asked Ralph, I said, what do you think about changing our brand from Pop Views, where we talk about popular culture and that sort of thing, to Black Lotus, where we're going to be talking about strictly about the strange and unusual. And he thought it was a good idea, so we did. We in the process of changing over at YouTube, I accidentally deleted all of our videos.
Oh no!
And it was completely irretrievable.
72 of them, a year and some months worth of work.
Yeah. What I did is I set up a brand new YouTube channel under Black Lotus Productions. We've been going with that one since, what was it, mid-July? Maybe?
Yeah, 3 months anniversary. Our 3 month anniversary was just on the 13th.
Yeah. And actually, this channel is doing much better than Pop Views ever did.
You found that the paranormal had more interest.
I think this is both something we both enjoy a lot. We both like ghost stories, fictional and non-fictional. And we've had a lot of experiences and stuff, so we're kind of drawn to the paranormal and this type of thing anyway. So our passion for it, I think, also shows through when people come to our show, they know this is something we're interested in too, so they enjoy it as much as we do.
I think another thing too is I was mentioning to Ralph earlier today, one of the things I think is an attraction to our particular show is that we don't hype up things necessarily. We say, hey, you know what, let's do a show on the Men in Black. Let's do some research, and we do some serious research into it, and I think that shows, and we're not trying to hype up as though the Men in Black are real, or that UFOs or aliens are real, or Bigfoot is real. We're just reporting the news, basically. We're saying this is the research, this is what we found. In every one of our episodes, we implore our viewers to research this stuff for themselves. I always say keep thinking and question everything, because I don't think that people should necessarily just accept
anybody's word
for it. I mean, if you have authority figures in society telling you, well, Bigfoot can't possibly exist, well, you can't just accept that. You got to question it and go, well, there's a lot of reports out there for it, so what's behind all of this?
And we try to play our own devil advocate with the subject. We like to look at both sides and see, so we can make more of an educated assumptions on what is true and what isn't.
What I really enjoy about your show is exactly that. You're two gentlemen. You don't force your views. You're not shouting. You're not ranting. You're not getting bent out of shape with each other or your listeners or your viewers. And it's like a conversation. Two friends sat down, having a cup of coffee, talking about these incredible paranormal subjects. And I think that's the real appeal of the show. I enjoy the show because I don't feel like I've been force-fed. I don't feel like I'm being judged for my views.
Yeah, absolutely.
You both said earlier on in the show that you both had paranormal experiences. I imagine they were different. They weren't ones you'd experienced at the same time?
Both actually.
You both had. Let's hear all about it.
Oh, geez. Well, we can go a couple hours on just all the experiences, but
in fact, we have a video up at our channel. What is it called, Ralph?
Our true life ghost stories and our true life UFO experiences. Plus, there's other things throughout the show that we talk about that we don't talk about particularly in those shows.
Yeah.
One of the strange ones that we experienced together was we were driving back from visiting a friend of ours on a 2-hour drive. We kind of both just dazed out listening to the radio, and all of a sudden we were home, and we should not have been home anywhere near as quickly as we should have.
And then as far as UFO experiences, I'm actually an abductee. Yeah, and this happened back in 1988. I didn't remember anything about this until about 1995. And so again, we have a show on there and where we talk about our UFO experiences. But as far as like paranormal and like ghost experiences, we've certainly had our fair share of those as well.
Give us an example, okay? Say maybe one of you give us your first paranormal experience. The other one then, give us your scariest paranormal experience.
I don't know about the scariest, but probably one of the strongest ones I've ever had was when I was living back at my mom's house in Claremont. I was in one of those long bathrooms that was like 2 doors and kind of separated the bathtub area and the vanity. I was locked in there, and the door was open, and I was in the shower. And I had remembered just before going to take a shower, I had almost knocked over a can of mousse. This will tell you when it was at. Okay, I had a can of mousse. Okay, this is back in like the 80s, maybe even the 70s. Anyhow, I stepped into the shower. I was sitting there showering. All of a sudden, that can of mousse sailed across the whole bathroom and ended up hitting the wall opposite where the shower was. And I was locked in a bathroom by myself. So that was kind of crazy to happen.
What were you doing in the shower that upset a paranormal presence so much?
I was cleaning off the dirty spirits.
That is very peculiar. Did you do any research into the property? Was there a history there?
Well, actually, the property was new. We actually lived in a hotel for 6 months while the house was being built. The whole plantation. You like that plantation? The whole community was a new community that was just being built. What was there before was just orange grove orchards and stuff. So there was no real history of that area that we could find. But yeah, there were several incidences in that house. Ghosts trying stuff. Haunted mannequin head that would like to spin on its own. Damien witnessed that one. Well, we never really actually saw it move. It actually would just, we'd be sitting there and all of a sudden it'd be facing you. Very, very strange things happen. We said we could write a book on just all the strange things that happen to us in our lives.
Well, you're talking to the right guy, you know. I'm more than happy to, have a chat with my publisher friends, you know. If you want to do that, if you've got the time and inclination, it's certainly worthwhile. There's a lot of avid readers out there desperate to consume as much information about the paranormal. So that particular haunting, it sounds very much like it was an intelligent haunting with possibly a poltergeist. Do you believe in like attachments, that a residence doesn't necessarily have to originally been haunted, but rather that we can carry attachments around with us that then drop off and latch onto a particular building or a site? Do you believe in attachments and things of that nature?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Because if you think of all the buildings that are brand new, how do they get haunted? And I believe that people that have got very negative thought processes, suffering depression, anxiety, dependency issues, you know, all negative factors in life. You know, I'm not saying this is real. I get a lot of criticism for some of my ideas, but I'm just saying it's a theory, isn't it? Let's explore all these notions that we go to places, whether it's on ghost hunts or old schools or anywhere in life, where we can pick up an attachment and they leech onto us almost like a bug, like a tick or a flea. They're latching onto us, just feeding off our negativity, making it worse. And then one day they go to a nice house, it's brand new, there's different energies, and it just drops off, and like a spider or a bug, it just runs off into a corner and it just lurks there waiting for new prey.
Mm-hmm. I'm a lover of antiques, but if I ever buy an antique, I make sure to cleanse it as much as I can before I bring it into my home.
Yes.
Because I believe that, you know, spirits will be attached to a certain item, and you don't know that when you go purchase the antique, and here you bring this beautiful dresser, this armoire or whatever, into your home, and you don't know that the person who had it before you was particularly attached to that armoire. And now, next thing you know, this spirit is now haunting your home.
We talked about that in the Deboot box.
The Deboot box, right?
You know, and that's all about that. So unless you're trying to buy a spirit in a box, yeah, I have to agree with them. I think spirits definitely will attach themselves to things. Again, the haunted mannequin head that I used to have. I swear that I did not bring that with me to Vegas just because I felt it was attached to there was a bad spirit attached to it, so I left it in the home I was at.
Do you ever think of cleansing that mannequin head, or do you just want to keep it as it is for like experiment or research reasons?
Well, he didn't bring it with him when he moved here to Vegas.
Oh, right, you didn't bring it at all. Yeah, fair enough then. Yeah, okay, I got it.
I gave up trying on that thing.
I thought you didn't bring it to the interview. That's Look, Damien, look what I brought to this house. The haunted mannequin head, Yeah, good luck with that. How do you pronounce it? Because I love the episode, was it the Deboot box? I had never heard of it. I've heard of lots of haunted items, dolls are very popular, and photographs, and as you said, antiques, but I'd never heard of this particular box. And again, anyone listening to this, go out and check it out on Black Lotus Productions. It is a fascinating, absolutely chilling episode about attachments. And I believe if you channel enough negative energy into a specific area, whether it's an item, a Ouija board, for example, you've got to think there's 4 or 5 people sat around a piece of wood. You know, it's literally just a piece of wood with some letters on it, all putting a huge amount of focus trying to open up another world, to try and communicate with otherworldly beings. And I think that if you put enough thought into something, whether it's positive or negative, you will get the desired outcome.
Absolutely. I completely agree with that. I was like you. I didn't know anything about Bigfoot boxes until Ralph brought it up to me. And I was like, well, I've never heard of this. And so I looked it up, and it was like, wow, there's so much out there about this, you know. But yeah, I completely agree with you. I think that spirits tend to be parasitic and attach themselves to things. And then once you bring those things into your home, I loved your description that they're like little spiders and they go running off.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a perfect description of that.
And I agree that people with depression and negative people will draw things like that to them, like Doris Bifter that we talked about, you know. Actually, in several episodes, we talk about hauntings and exorcisms, that it's the negativity that sometimes brings the demons towards you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I don't draw you into an area that, you know, like a yes, no kind of answer. So I'll kind of give a theory, and it's up to you if you want to add to it or not, okay? Because it can upset a lot of people, okay? The more research I've done into hauntings, and the more depressed I've got, and the more anxious, and the more mental health issues I've discovered, the harder I examine and investigate in these haunted locations, the more and more I feel that we've got a very cozy, not us necessarily, but people have got a very cozy image of the afterlife, and it's granny and granddad, and they look after us, and they come and visit us. I don't think so, and this upsets a lot of people, okay? So as I said, I don't want to draw you into this if you're not necessarily comfortable with it, okay? I don't think spirits are deceased relatives. I don't think their loved ones passed. I think there is something much more darker, it's more sinister, pardon the pun, insidious, on the other side, that may not necessarily be human. And we talked about like parasites, that we are having all these new discoveries into physics and quantum physics, and I think things cross into our world and they feed on us, and they will use thoughts and images, almost like dreams and nightmares, of loved ones to try and get that attachment. What do you think the spirits are? Are they loved ones, dead ones past? Are they residual energies, or are they something else?
Personally, I can't answer that question really, because I have different theories about it. I'm a big believer in reincarnation, and so but I think that your spirit does hang around for a while before you reincarnate. So whether or not those spirits are attracted to those people who are depressed or have self-abuse issues, like with alcoholism, that sort of thing, whether they're attached or rather drawn to those people, I don't know. What do you think, Ralph?
You know, I think it's a lot of different things there you're talking about. I think spirits is just too general of a term. I think there is spirits where it is loved ones that are coming back. I think there are spirits that are possibly caught in that time loop we talk about. You know, they say that's why you see spirits walking through a wall, because that's the path they normally would take.
Yeah.
And the wall wasn't there before. But I also think there's spirits that are just evil spirits that have nothing to do with past loved ones. And I also think that some of the spirits we see, for example, shadow people, are something totally different. Either that's a different universe, or it's a whole different type of alien or being. So like I said, spirit to me is a very general term.
Well answered, both of you, because as you said, it's very difficult to just pinpoint, because if you separate ghosts, demons, spirits, aliens, for all we know, they could all just be the same entity, just using different energies and guises, or they could be all totally different, as we are different from an elephant, from a lion, from a chimpanzee. But there are these different life forms out there, and I think we don't know very much about our universe. We don't know very much about our solar system. We don't know a lot about our own psychology. We certainly don't know what happens before we are born and what happens after. We exist, we have a consciousness, we die, and then there's a great big mystery. Part of me is more drawn towards reincarnation than it is to, you know, an afterlife of a heaven and hell. And as I said, I'm not here to offend anyone or challenge your views. Just something I feel as a 43-year-old man at this time in my life, which might change.
We did do a show on reincarnation, and one of the interesting things about it that I found was the theory of the lords of karma, which is basically we are trapped in an alien world, and when we die, the aliens going to the light is the bad thing, because the aliens are just recycling us to use over and over and over again as slaves and toys and what have you.
Which means that essentially all of religion is created by the aliens.
I love that. That's going to upset a lot of people, but I like it.
There's a lot of different theories out there, so, and it's kind of hard to prove any of them right.
We are all here reproducing at this astronomical rate, nearly 8 billion of us, because we are a soul factory. We were juiced to literally live, die, and our soul goes off to populate another creature somewhere in the universe. The planet Earth, is it a soul factory? Are we prisoners on this planet? Are we going to be harvested one day? Are these aliens going to turn up and use us as an aphrodisiac? Why do you think we are here?
Well, that's the ultimate question. Why are it's like in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. The answer is 42. People have been asking themselves this question since the dawn of time. Personally, I'm not a religious person at all. However, I do believe that there is some sort of creatrix out there whose main purpose is to create things, pump out souls. Now, whether we get recycled into that after we die and then come back, I don't know. Again, I'm a big believer in reincarnation, but I don't believe that we are necessarily entrapped or enslaved to Earth. I think with all the possibilities of or civilizations that are out there in the universe, we certainly wouldn't necessarily be trapped here. I don't think. I think we could be recycled or reincarnated into any number of civilizations
or things.
Kind of on the same topic, Damien, you very kindly wrote an article for the new Paranormal Chronicles magazine, which is coming out November 23rd, and it was absolutely excellent. And
thank you.
You were pondering alien intelligences possibly engineering us.
I'm kind of a believer that human beings were created by ancient aliens. I believe that they mixed their DNA with the existing DNA that was here, and that possibly could provide an explanation behind the missing link. I'm not saying it is. It's only one theory that's out there that I have to agree with.
Now, going back to your show, Black Lotus Productions, okay, which show is your favourite? So each one of you, Damien and Ralph, tell us what is your favourite show and a little bit of why.
That's hard to do. I would say probably our personal UFO encounters show. Ralph and I have had many UFO encounters. Again, I have an encounter of the fourth kind where I was abducted. Don't usually tell that story to people, so it was really kind of liberating to be able to tell it on a public venue like YouTube. I don't know. After that show, after talking about all those encounters, including the abduction, I felt something lift off of me. So it was. That's probably my favorite out of all of them.
You're very brave to tell it because you're just opening yourself up for attack because we're not in a society that will accept it. They'll just say that you're looking for attention or you've got a mental illness or, you did too much drugs in the 70s or 80s. People always find an excuse.
Well, I think the way I look at it now is I'm 53 years old. I'm retired. I don't really give a damn what people think of me anymore. So if they want to attack me because of something I believe happened to me, I don't care.
I want everyone to go to Black Lotus Productions after this show, right? And I want them to find that particular show, okay? And I want them to listen to it so that they get, really get a grip of what you gentlemen are doing and how passionate you are and, how personal is you. Little insight. Can you remember much about the fourth kind experience? Can you remember it vividly, or was it just flashbacks and dreams, or did you have to go through regression?
No. It was kind of strange the way it happened. In 1988, I was actually homeless and I was living out of my car. And that's when this thing happened. But I didn't remember this until I was at home. I had a friend of mine. I wasn't really a big believer in UFOs necessarily. I had a friend of mine who was over at my house, and he had a companion book for the X-Files. He's trying to talk to me about UFOs, and I'm just kind of barely listening to him. And I'm flipping through the book, and in the book is a scene from the X-Files where I believe it's Fox Mulder is pointing up to a triangular UFO, a black triangular UFO. And that initially sparked the memories of what had happened. And it happened so hard that I actually fell back in my chair and passed out. When I did, it was like I was reliving the incident back in 1988. And so, it started from there. Now, I've had more memories come back to me since then. But yeah, these memories are extremely vivid, and every time I have one of these memories, I'm there when it's happening.
Again, without going into detail, because I really want people to go to Black Lotus Productions on YouTube and listen to it for themselves. A bad experience, or was it just an experience? Was it something that's worried you since you've had the flashbacks? Do you worry they're going to come back for you?
No, at the time it was very terrifying. Actually, just the whole experience was terrifying up until the end. And in the end, I was kind of telecommunicating with one of the aliens, and I had the idea that the alien was female for some reason. I can't explain that, but I do. She was asking me questions. She was asking me questions about religion. She was asking me questions about what I thought about Earth existence. She was trying to tell me where they were from, and I really didn't understand that very much. I mean, I don't fear that they're going to come back. I don't fear them at all. I find them fascinating more than I find anything else, you know.
You know, when you think how old the universe is, surely someone has discovered us, hopped by and saw us and like, look at these guys, they're doing all right. Let's have a look at what they're made of. Let's see what their psychology's like. We would do the same if we found a new animal in the ocean or a new animal in the jungle. We'd kill one or we'd capture one and we'd just study it.
We absolutely would do that sort of thing. I always like to refer back to the movie Avatar, where we go to an alien civilization and immediately we start to exploit it. I'm quite sure that we would do that. Now, whether or not another alien race would do that with us and exploit us, possibly, I suppose. There's a theory out there that we were originally created by the aliens actually to mine gold here. But I don't know how much water that holds, you know, but we would, again, like you said, we would certainly do it, you know. I think we would actually, if we had the ability, we would create our own form of those alien species, as I believe that aliens did with us. They mixed their DNA with us. So.
If it's not happening already in Area 52 or 51 or...
Do you think we have a captured alien on this planet?
Oh, I think we have captured aliens, but I think the aliens have captured us more than anything else. I truly believe that our world governments are, well, hiding, but I think they're being controlled by these beings. I think they made a pact a long time ago to do this.
Oh, I meant hiding the knowledge of...
hiding knowledge, most definitely, yes.
I understand why we can't just have full disclosure. Think about it. Like, me and you gentlemen and people listening would love to know the truth. An alien spaceship just landed on the White House lawn and an alien came out to see Donald Trump and look at his hair and think, is that another life form stuck to his head? You know, we'd be excited, yeah? You know, we're cool with it, you know? We've already, you know, that's why we're doing what we do. But if you think
wait, I gotta stop you there. We would not be cool if an alien came down, the first person he met is Donald Trump. I would not be cool with that.
You try selling the alien his board game or something like that, or his book, The Art of Negotiation. We'd be cool with it, and I would imagine there's probably about 1 billion people on the planet would be cool with it. It's the other 6 or 7 billion people who would be very challenged, because everything we've ever known suddenly goes out the window. Our religions, our philosophies, our theologies, everything just goes out the window, and we could feel very insignificant. It's like if we landed a Harrier jump jet on an African tribe's village who don't even have a car. They'd be terrified of what was going on, or these Amazonian jungle tribes that, you know, remained hidden for centuries. We just turned up on a motorbike. They'd be terrified. And I think for that full disclosure, I think for about 20, 30 years, through TV, through media, through books, through video games, they're just getting us comfortable with the idea. And unfortunately, I don't think in our lifetime we are going to see that disclosure. But little by little, we're getting used to the idea. We're getting little bits about the ISS, filmed a little thing going past, the moon, there's something on the moon, NASA has seen stuff around the sun. Enough to keep us, what if, but not enough to panic us. I think they're just conditioning us for when they finally tell us.
Absolutely, absolutely. Back when we did Pop Views, Ralph and I did a show on the alien agenda. And I think we still have it up on our YouTube channel now, but it's not the same as our normal ones, because it was back when we did Pop Views. Back then we didn't film ourselves doing the episodes. It was just our voice and with a still picture.
Well, yeah, we were 3,000 miles apart.
Yeah. And so, but anyway, yeah, if you go to our channel and check out the Alien Agenda episode, we talk a lot about that, about how people are being conditioned by our governments now for disclosure, so that it's not a sudden shock when they do.
What will probably happen in 100 or so years, we'll have a colony on Mars. Archaeologists will find something from an ancient civilization that proves that there was life, and then they'll just build upon that. And then by 300-400 years, we'll have found life forms on other planets, not necessarily intelligent, but sophisticated. If you think about all these moons, and they've got water, and they've got thermal fissures and whatnot, and the life that is on these planets already, because if you think about how life can exist in really hostile environments, whether it's sub-zero or these thermal vents at the bottom of the ocean, there's life everywhere. And we'll get used to that, and one day they'll go to, what's the moon with, it's not Titan, is it? There's a moon with an ocean under the ice.
Jupiter's moon, right?
Yeah. I'll flash an image up of it so everyone will know. And under that ice, they might find like a weird hybrid squid seal, and that's an alien. And they'll send pictures back, and everyone will be like, "Wow!" And it's just a dumb beast. You know, it's not a sophisticated animal. It can't drive a car, can't drive a spaceship, and they'll just condition us like that.
So the government definitely conditions us for anything that they want. You know, there's the dumbing down of certain items and the exploitation of other items. Just whatever they want in their agenda is definitely pushed towards us.
Yeah, agreed. And, you know, we vote these people in to govern us, to speak on our behalf, and then they just keep secrets from us. But that's fair enough. I guess why they do that. Ralph, what is your favourite episode of Black Lotus Productions? What is the episode that stands out?
Probably the Dubuque box is probably one of my most favorite, only because it's one of those that I thought going into it was going to be this quick little story, and it ended up going down a major rabbit hole with so much that happened. But it's really hard to say which one, because some of them are just way fun to research. You go looking in one direction, and you start going off in directions that you didn't even know existed or had anything to do with the actual topic you're on. And things start tying together, and it's just fun to do that. So I don't know if I could actually pick a favorite.
What about the live toe reading? That was an amazing show.
That was fun to do, actually. I used to live in Florida, and Anne Marie, the medium that was on with us, was a good friend of mine back there. And so I asked her one day if she'd like to be on, and this was back when we did Pop Views. And she was on with us. And it wasn't a live thing. It was we just had a chat about paranormal mediums and that sort of thing. And I asked her if she would come back on sometime, and she says, yeah, maybe we'll do some toe readings. I was like, toe readings? What are toe readings? And I had never heard of this before, but evidently what she does is she takes, she looks at a person's toes, just the upper part of their toes. And you know how some people do palmistry and that sort of thing. She reads toes, and she was quite accurate. I remember when she did Ralph's toes. I mean, she had him nailed.
And most of it was right on point.
I knew a girl once, lovely girl, and she had some kind of qualification in rumpology, which was the reading of the bum.
Uh-huh.
And she used to tell all kinds of stuff. It sounds insane, honestly. You know, I don't know how comfortable a lot of people be out there just dropping your trousers in front of a woman and she explores your buttocks and starts telling you all kinds of stuff. But there's something in it, because our bodies are like the maps to our lives. You know, the wrinkles on our face, the wrinkles on our hands, the lines, the fingerprints. Fingerprints, I reckon fingerprints are our barcode, so that aliens can find out who we are. They can scan them, and they can find out everything about our genetics, diseases, our family history, everything like that. I'm just throwing that out there.
Never thought about that before, but you may have a good point.
Because think about it, okay? Twins don't have the same fingerprints, right?
Right.
And how come two men or women have never been accused of a murder because they both had the same fingerprints? So nature has a program in it to keep coming up with new versions of fingerprints. Now
we're gonna have to look into that, Ralph. That's gonna be a show on Black Lotus, I'm sure of it.
Please do. You know, same with the eye. Same with the eye. You know, every eye is unique, okay? And they say, like, the eyes are the windows to the soul. Maybe that's literally. Maybe if we were engineered, if we were created, maybe that's what part of our coding was, that our fingerprints would be unique so that we're identifiable.
It very well could be, yeah.
And you've got to do a show on rumpology.
On rumpology.
There you go. Get people, because we're more of a radio show that we put on YouTube. You're an actual show where people can see you live, having a chat, can see your guests, you can pose on. So do a rumpology show. Because I'm actually going to come on
I don't think I'm putting my rump up on my air.
There's an audience for it, trust me. There's people out there who would love it. Your ratings will go through the roof. Because I'm going to come on your show in December. I'm so excited, very humble. And we're going to talk about my new book, Haunted Horror of Haverfordwest. But I think the thing you gents really want to talk about is the spectrophilia, the ghost sex.
We can talk a little bit about all of it, actually. I mean, we were doing a show just recently. We did the show on Doris Bither and being attacked by the ghosts and stuff, sexually assaulted and stuff. And so that was the reason why we thought you would be great for the topic too, because of your book. But we're open to just about any type of topic you'd like to talk about with your book.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of people who follow the Paranormal Chronicles is because of the ghost sex case, right? So I'm telling them now, go to Black Lotus Productions on YouTube, check out the Doris Bither case. If you're not familiar with it, check it out. It's fascinating. Some of you may be familiar with the movie The Entity, with the beautiful Barbara Hershey, and it was a lady in San Diego. Do you want to give a little bit of an explanation to that case so people can check it out?
Well, basically, first I want to say it was like we were talking about before. She was a very depressed woman who had some serious mental issues, but she says that she was being raped by 3 ghosts. 2 would hold her down, and another would rape her, and they were, I don't remember, not Chinese. Was it Chinese or Japanese? Of Asian descent. They actually had many witnesses of things going on in the house. They had 14 reporters there at one time witnessing stuff. So it was a very interesting case because of so many witnesses and so many strange things that happened.
Including a police officer.
Right, including a police officer, correct.
What do you think, with your research, what do you think happened?
I think that her bad karma and vibes and depression brought bad spirits to her.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
A lot of people say it was a hoax. This is one of those that I'm kind of more drawn to. This might be an actual thing than...
Because there's some fascinating pictures. There's like arcs of light. And we've got to talk, this is what, 1977, 78? It's no later than early 80s, is it? It's late 70s.
Yeah, 70s.
And this is far before Photoshop and computer, CGI and computer manipulation. And there's some really interesting photographs. And you can see the reactions of the people in the house, these reporters, scientists, whatever. And there is something happening. If it was just people sat in a room, you could say, well, there's the power of suggestion, they're all getting caught up in the moment, they're all feeling that hysteria. But the photographs are really, really fascinating, and I don't think enough credit is given to the case, like 30, 40 years later, and I think it's something that definitely needs to be revisited. Because I dealt with a case very similar, and I was tremendously unprepared to deal with it, because how can you sit there and talk to a woman who claims she's been raped by 2 ghosts, an incubus and a spirit, she claims. So what I'm going to do is, because you guys have been absolutely superb, I'm going to just give you some paranormal entity stroke characters, and I want you to give me, independently, you can give a bit of info if you want, or you can just give me one word answer, and it is fact or fiction. Do you believe them to be real, or do you believe them to be fictional, okay? So we'll start with you, Damien, and we'll go with ghosts.
Fact.
You can't call fiction as something you've seen, right?
Yeah. I've seen too much to believe otherwise.
Fascinating. And you cover that on your show, on Black Lotus Productions, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing. Ralph, fact or fiction for ghosts?
Oh, definitely fact. I'll have to agree, like the moose sailing across thing, something had to throw it. So again, ghosts could be a very wide subject. And I want to preface this whole thing real quick by saying that we always say on the show that just about anything is possible.
Yeah.
You never know how strange this world is and how things surprise us all the time. You never know.
No, that's excellent. Vampires, fact or fiction, Damien?
I had an experience in New Orleans with a vampire, so I'd have to say fact. I don't know if they're fact insofar as they're afraid of garlic and afraid of crucifixes and that sort of thing, but I do believe that there are people out there that come close, at least, to our modern concept of the fictional vampire, so I would say fact.
Ralph?
I'm going to go with traditional vampire, which means that they need to suck blood. I would say fictional. But if you're going with an energy vampire, with someone who actually sucks your energy, I would say fact.
That's amazing. That's a show on its own there. That's excellent. Now, you've done a great show on this. I was watching it today. And that is the Loch Ness Monster. Ralph, fact or fiction?
Loch Ness Monster, I think, is probably fiction. Lake monsters in general, I think some of them are actually fact.
Damien?
I'd have to go along with his answer there. I don't believe the Loch Ness Monster is necessarily fact. I think it's more fiction than anything else. However, I have seen some pretty compelling video out there of other lake monsters that is kind of hard to identify. So yeah, I don't know. I'll go with fictional fact. How's that?
Have you seen the Icelandic worm?
Yes, we do. We actually did on our show, Lake Monsters. We actually showed that video, I think, even on the show. Because that's one of the more compelling ones that we like. Yeah, you know, that looks like something real.
That's the one that makes me say fact. A lot of them, like Loch Ness, I don't know. But, again, on your channel, guys, go and check it out. The channel's superb. You're going to learn so much. Not just listening to the gents, but you're going to see so much as well. There was that beach footage, and there was these people just having a great time on a beach somewhere, and this huge thing, at first I thought, is that a whale? Is that a shark? But it looked like a giant eel. It did look like a sea serpent, but it was huge. Was there any more on what that could have been?
No idea. I do know, like in that video footage, there was some of that video footage that we showed on that episode was cut off, unfortunately. But Ralph had told me that toward the end of that video, it's actually a lot closer, and you can see it a lot more clear. Cops were involved with this whole incident. There were hundreds of witnesses out there.
And it disappeared.
I think, personally, I think it was just a freak of nature. I think it was just an extremely large eel. What do you think?
I think a giant eel could possibly, I mean, it was huge, but, I mean, we know prehistoric animals were huge, so why couldn't an eel grow to be that big? We've seen sharks grow huge. We've seen giant squid. Why not a giant eel? Yeah. But it was definitely something real. It wasn't just a clump of seaweed.
I agree entirely with that. When you think about all the abnormalities a person can have, you know, giganticism, dwarfism, if people are born with extra legs, Siamese twins, if we can get those kind of mutations in human nature, imagine what else is out there and all the stuff we haven't discovered, stuff at the bottom of the ocean.
Never mind the fact that Fukushima is still leaking and is now poisoning the whole Pacific Ocean. I'm sure that's mutating a lot of stuff. I mean, we've seen pictures of some of the mutations of what it's done. Yeah. So it's definitely possible.
Well, look at Chernobyl or Chernobyl, depending where you're from. And there's deers born, deer/stag born with 5-6 legs. Fish, like the Simpsons fish with multiple eyes. Giant abominations and like cockroaches. So all this radiation and pollution all just going into the deepest parts of the ocean, and in generations to come we're going to see some horrific stuff get washed up on beaches, and who knows, live stuff might just start attacking boats. I know it sounds crazy, guys. We could have Godzilla or something of that nature, okay?
We had talked on the show once about Megalodon and, you know, the sightings, the possible sightings of Megalodon out there. Personally, I don't think that Megalodon does exist. You know, it certainly did at one time, but I don't think that our planet couldn't sustain a fish like that. And certainly not more than one, I think. You know? However, you know, we were talking about that eel that was at that beach. I think something like that could most definitely exist and survive. Now, whether it would breed more like it, I don't know. Like I said, I think it may have just been a fluke.
Possibly. There's stuff washing up in Russia at the moment, stuff washing up in New Zealand. It's weird, and we don't know a lot about our oceans. All I do know is that we're killing them. If everyone listening, these gentlemen are so knowledgeable. You can literally just throw a million subjects at them, and they've got opinions and views and research on them. You guys are absolutely superb. So, next topic then, fact or fiction. Start with you, Damien. Bigfoot.
Absolute fact.
Absolute fact. Have you had your own personal experience?
I have never had a Bigfoot experience. However, I have had a lot of friends who have, and one of my friends is an avid hunter, and he's kind of a very down-to-earth person. He doesn't believe in UFOs. He doesn't, and he knows the difference between a Bigfoot and a bear. And he saw a Bigfoot, and he swears by it. And almost because of his account is the reason that I believe Bigfoot exists. I also believe it exists because it could exist. Areas here in North America and Canada could easily sustain colonies and colonies and colonies of these things, and we would never even know that they're there because there's so much unexplored areas. So absolutely, it's fact.
Ralph, your view, fact or fiction on Bigfoot?
I think that it's very possibly fact. I'll definitely go more towards fact than fiction, but I will say that I think most sightings are fictional. There are very few factual. If it is a fact, there are very few factual sightings. Because I think a lot of people, like you said, sometimes people do confuse other things, and they don't know what else to call it, so it ends up being Bigfoot. But I think some of these people definitely saw something, whether it was a mutation of something else, I don't know, but there's a lot of people that saw something that was not a bear and not an animal that we know.
Damien has written an article for the new Paranormal Chronicles magazine coming out on the 23rd of November. It's a free magazine, people. You can, get in touch with me. You can have a free copy. It's absolutely superb. Some of the best writers in the world, best researchers have written in this. Damien's done a great article on whether we've been engineered, and there's a follow-up article from another gentleman, which I haven't got his details to hand, but he's written an article, right, that Bigfoot is actually an alien probe. That he was created back in the day to kind of watch us.
We actually heard about that, and I think we talked about that on the show.
Yeah, I don't know that it's all that crazy. I really don't. I think the theory does hold some water. Whether or not it's absolute truth, I'm not sure about that. But yeah, we have definitely talked about that on that Bigfoot episode that we did.
Yeah, we did. We did a Bigfoot episode on Pop Views, and we enjoyed doing it so much we did a remake of it for Black Lotus, and about the recent uprise of people spotting Bigfoot. There were a lot of sightings more than usual all of a sudden, and UFO sightings have gone down. So we kind of explored that, but in that episode we do talk about that some people think that Bigfoot is actually alien.
It makes sense. It appears, it disappears. Okay, moving on. Damien, demons, fact or fiction?
Fiction, but I think demons are what you make of them. I mean, they could just be bad spirits, and I do believe that bad spirits exist. Demons kind of breaches into the religious aspect, and I'm not a big proponent of religion. But I do believe people have misinterpreted these bad spirits as demons. So is that fiction? Is that fact? I would say demons are fiction, but bad spirits are certainly fact.
Ralph, fact or fiction for demons?
I'll have to agree with him totally. Demons, again, is saying religion. And while I'm with him that there might be something up there that is all high intelligence, the things that the deities we worship here on earth is not what we're talking about. So that case, yes, there could be bad spirits, and I think we talked about ghosts. I think some ghosts that are bad spirits would be considered a demon.
Time travel. We'll start with you, Ralph. Time travel, fact or fiction?
I'm going to have to say I don't know on this one. I really don't. We're actually researching right now and getting ready to do a show on time travel. And after the experience we had where we lost that amount of time, we either time traveled or we were abducted and put back into a wrong place at the wrong time as we were driving. So I really don't know on time travel. I think it's possible that we could possibly time travel, but I think right now I'm going to have to go close to the fiction, but I think it is possible.
Okay, Damien?
Like Ralph says, I think it's possible. I think at this point it's fiction. Who knows what the government has been working on. There was one theory that, in the skies over Nevada here, we have technology that has only been seen in things like Star Wars. And so, again, the government is sitting on it. So I think time travel is certainly possible. Whether or not they've actually made any strides toward it, I'm not sure. We did that show on the Philadelphia experiment, and that's a time travel kind of situation. I think there was a time travel situation that went bad, obviously, and so I think that they have certainly experimented with it. Because, if you think about this, the government, if it is possible, if time travel is possible, you know that the government is going to research it. They're going to do everything they can do to up the game against a different country who may be investigating it. So, I think whether it's the British government or the Russian government or the American government, somebody is investigating this.
I have to say real quick, too, there was a physicist that actually has made some microwave photons travel instantaneously between two prisms that were 3 feet apart. So if you can do that, then that makes me kind of believe that there might be more to it than there makes it possible that there is such a thing as time travel.
If you are listening and you're not familiar with the Philadelphia experiment, this is a real thing. This isn't theory. This isn't something that may or may not have happened. This was a real experiment conducted by the Navy, by the United States military, if I'm correct, and it had some weird side effects, which has affected people to this day. Black Lotus Productions. Find them on Facebook. Find them on YouTube. Watch these shows. You will learn so much. So I'm going to leave the big question to last. Fact or fiction? Did we land on the moon?
Go ahead.
We did a show on that too, back on Poppies. We don't have it on Black Lotus, unfortunately, anymore. And I have to say that after doing a lot of research into it, now, a lot of people like to say, well, of course we landed on the moon. I was there watching it on television. That doesn't mean anything, you know? I mean, I don't know why that would convince anyone. After doing a lot of research into it, I kind of think that we did land on the moon, but I think it didn't happen the way the media portrayed it happening. I think it was when they landed on the moon, it was supposedly in real time. I don't think it was in real time. I think there was a hell of a delay on it, because it would be, because you don't want the module crashing and killing all these astronauts and on live TV. You wouldn't want to do that. But aside from that, I with all the theories out there, all the conspiracy theories out there, you know, whether it's the shadows, how the shadows are playing, the fact that the flag is waving in an airless atmosphere, that sort of thing, I don't know. I think it's all easily explained away. So yeah, did we land? Yeah, I think we did.
Ralph?
I'm mixed on this one too, to be honest. I think we have landed on the moon. I don't know if we landed on the moon at that exact time or not. I think that some of the conspiracy theories that they just showed us, this video of them landing on the moon, make it seem like we had already and then actually went and did it, is possible. I think that is possible. I think we have landed on the moon, definitely. But did we do it at that time is where I'm not quite sure if that's true or not. If that is actual moon landing footage or if that was a soundstage is still very much up in the air with me on that. After doing all the research, there was nothing that convinced me either direction.
You know, and a lot of people think that it wasn't actually on a soundstage, but it was out here in the Nevada desert at Area 51.
Yeah, you can actually find mountains and stuff that look exactly like that, that they show on the moon landing. So
yeah, and they're saying that that's a reason why that they deny access, even on flyovers. You can't fly over in a plane, and it's because they're afraid that people would recognize the areas. It even has craters there, evidently.
I'm kind of with you on this one, Ralph. I don't think we went in 1969. I think we went later. I think it was an attempt to bankrupt the Soviet Union. It was a morale booster, pardon the pun. You can prove anything wrong. If people out there want to prove, so be adamant that they can dismiss it, that you can make something, no matter what the facts are. Unfortunately, though, the amount of evidence that comes back, I just start thinking, I want to believe that we went to the moon in 1969. How we did it, I'm not sure, because the technology we had was very limited. The radiation, the time up there, all a million things that could have gone wrong. When you compare it to the technology they had was the equivalent of a Spectrum 48K computer. We have all this glorious technology now. We don't seem to be doing very much with it at all. Don't know if we went up in 69. I think we went up later. Now, very, very quick. You guys give me so much of your time. You're so generous. There's a lot of talk at the moment that the moon is not actually a natural satellite that is being placed there. Quick thoughts about that.
Why don't you take this one?
Well, we actually did a show on this. We've talked about this on one of the other shows on Pop Views too, and I have to say that I think the moon is real. I think with the amount of telescopes we have nowadays, that where we can go down to Walmart and buy a telescope, that we could almost see, grains of sand on the moon at this point. I think it'd be kind of hard for them to hide anything up there. So I'm pretty sure the moon's real.
Yeah, I would agree. Most definitely. I think the moon is most definitely real. Want to say that this whole idea was spawned by flat earthers. Is that right, Ralph?
Yeah, that flat or hollow earther is one of the two.
And I don't see any validity in the theory. But
we will be actually having a show coming up on Earth, which we're going to deal with flat Earth, hollow Earth, and all those type of theories. And it's going to be followed up by Moon, which is going to be all the theories about the dark side of the moon and aliens and stuff like that.
So
those should be interesting shows.
Flat Earth, I can't really subscribe to it. I'm sorry, I can't really get into that theory. Hollow Earth, it's feasible. It makes sense.
absolutely, I totally agree. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm up for that. Gentlemen, what a wealth of knowledge the pair of you are. We rocketed through so many subjects in that hour, and you are welcome back on the show anytime. But for everyone out there, Black Lotus Productions is on YouTube. Quick question, why Black Lotus?
Well, you know, the lotus flower has always been used for meditation and by say Buddhists. And I kind of figured I wanted to incorporate that idea into what we do. And since we kind of meditate on the darker aspects of life, Black Lotus kind of made sense.
I'm so proud and privileged that we've begun working together. You're two wonderful gentlemen, so knowledgeable, so passionate, but you present it in such a non-offensive way. You articulate it in such a way that people can understand and get the grips of it. Just very quickly, where can people find you? How can they contact you?
Via email, you can get a hold of us through blacklotuspodcast@gmail.com and page at Twitter and at Facebook. At Facebook, our name is actually, we had an issue when we rebranded, so we actually had to name the page at Facebook Black Lotus Media Productions instead of just Black Lotus Productions. But anyway, so you can find us there, like us at that page, and again, we're at YouTube. Just look up Black Lotus Productions.
And anybody out there, too, who's had experiences, so we do a show called Real Encounters. And if you've had experiences seeing Bigfoot, UFOs, involved in a conspiracy theory, anything like that, you can also get a hold of us there and possibly be interviewed on the show for it.
Absolutely.
Wonderful opportunity. Gentlemen, I cannot thank you enough. You've been so generous with your time, with your information, with your knowledge. Thank you very much, and please come back anytime you've got something to talk about, because I'm pretty sure we can fill another hour pretty quickly.
Almost definitely. And again, Gavin, thank you very much for having us on the show. It was really a pleasure to talk with you.
No, thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you very much. So there we go, everyone. That was Black Lotus Productions. Find them on YouTube. That is Damien Gray. And I'm going to give it a go, right? Ralph
Torlucci.
Ralph. I'm going to say that again. Damien Gray and Ralph Torlucci. Nah, I'll just call you Ralph.
Good evening, I am G.L.Davies, and I am finally honoured to introduce you to my third book, available to pre-order now for a 30th of November release and book signing at Victoria Bookshop December the 1st in Haverfordwest. It was 2 years of intense interviews and study of a most surreal haunting. This book took me to some dark places where I had to face my own demons, my own mental health issues, and it contains revelations that will shock those not close to me. I'm humbled that many within the paranormal community, my peers, have, after reading advanced copies, described this book as one of the most important paranormal accounts in modern history. And to me, that's tremendously humbling. This new offering also contains a new edit of A Most Haunted House, along with a 40-page examination of explanations. Thank you to everyone that supported me. Thank you to Sixth Books for encouraging me and supporting me with my dream. So, without further ado, let us step inside.
Go get the axe. Go get the axe. Go get the axe.